Okay, taking a look at our project, we have our beats, our synths, our bass, the arpeggiator, our drummer fills, the strings, and now we're going to be working with our sweeps, smart controls, and automation. Let's take a look. We're going to create a swooshing or a sweeping sound in the project. We'll do that with an ES2 synthesizer, so create a new track with the plus sign. Go to the drop down in the inspector under Instrument and choose the ES2 synthesizer. Whoa, I know, it looks intimidating. Don't be afraid of this one. It's just a bunch of knobs and dials that affect the sound when you play the keyboard. We're going to focus on these three filters here. Filter 1, 2, and 3. These change the sound. You can play the keyboard and you'll see. We also have a triangle in the middle, and you can move it to favor one of the filters. But let's just turn off filter 1 and filter 2 by clicking on it, and set filter 3 to noise. Move the triangle all the way to filter 3 as well. That's what we hear when we play the keyboard. Now let's focus on this dial called the cut or the cutoff. This is basically a volume dial. You can move the volume from all the way low, slowly moving it to high. And that's what we want to record into our project. Let's do that using a feature called the Smart Controls. Smart Controls are right here. We can click it and you'll see what pops up below all your tracks, the Smart Controls. And the first control is attached to that cutoff dial I showed you up in the ES2. So we're going to use that when we record our note. We're going to start from all the way 0 and move it all the way up. First, set the automation though to latch, so it makes sure that we record the moves we do with the Smart Controls. So we're going to move it from 0, and then as it plays through the measures, we're going to increase that volume. I'll demonstrate. Okay, so I've recorded. Let's take a look at this. I'll need to stretch this out and make sure it reaches the whole set of 8 measures. Solo this track and listen. Okay, it's there for sure. But let's take a look inside the automation here. Clicking A on the keyboard for automation, I see the automation opens up. But the parameter that it defaults to is volume. I want to see the cutoff. So let's go down to the cutoff, and all of a sudden I see that recording I just made. But it's kind of jagged. So I'm going to take one of the lower dots and stretch it across and even out my line. Now let's listen now. Okay, I like that, but I think I can actually just be a little creative with it and maybe bring it up more right at the end. Okay, that's cool, and I'll continue doing this for a while, but I won't do it on the video to save our time. But you should be exploring and trying different things as well. Let's set up the automation for another parameter here in the ES2 called distortion. You'll find distortion right up here in the ES2. And I want to attach this second dial, which is named resonance for whatever reason. We're going to map the parameters right here, okay, where it says parameter mapping. With my knob selected, I can go to the drop down on the left and choose the ES2. Now I know where the distortion is. It's under Effects, under FX Dist Gain. dist for distortion. Now, when I move my smart control, it moves the distortion knob. Perfect. Let's record a pass with the distortion. I don't need to play the note. I'll just play the project and move the knob. Okay, now I can take a look inside of my automation by changing that parameter, and there it is under used, and wow, there's my distortion. Well, I want to even out this one too, so I'll grab one of my points and just simply drag it across, make it nice and even, and I think I'll bring up the distortion more towards the end as well here. Okay, let's listen and see. It's really distorted. Maybe we'll change that later, but I like it now. Let's map one more parameter called intensity on the ES2. We'll go into our third knob now, and over to parameter mapping, the ES2, effects, and FX mod intensity. Now when I move that knob, you'll see my intensity knob is moving. And I'll record a pass here. I don't need to play anything on the piano, just move the dial. Nice. Okay, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the parameter here, look for my intensity, and even out this point. Now there's one more parameter I'd like to automate, and that's the pan. Let's go to the drop-down and go to the main controls and find pan, and just click pan. Remember, pan is when sound moves from the left to the right or right to left in our headphones. So I'm going to let this sweep come across the whole field from left to right. Cool, right? And I simply drew that automation in. I didn't need to use my keyboard for that. Okay, lots of experimentation should be happening here inside of the automation and all of your tracks inside of our EDM project.